Hello, and welcome to Affliction Sugarcoated, a podcast where we sugarcoat some of the world's so called afflictions and rate their plausibility on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm Minnie Kim, and today we will be sugarcoating the phenomenon of time and how it flies so quickly. So, I'm sure everyone has heard of the terminology time flies and like the phrase time flies, how it flies so quickly in the blink of an eye, etc. It used to be when people realize how fast life is moving and how after about a year of not looking back, we're trapped in this illusion that a year goes by in a blink. And now I can finally realize how it actually does. For all you Americans and Europeans out there, it's summer break, at least for the kids. Parents, sorry, but adulthood brings its challenges. I guess for students, we finally look back when the year ends, when the school year ends. So about June, and we also look back when the school year starts, so about August. Of course, I'm referring to the non tertiary education like high school, middle school, etc., but I guess it could apply to college, university, other degrees as well. As for me, I'm writing this in celebration of a year. It has officially been a year since Affliction Sugarcoated has been out in the open. I started it as a rising 8th grader, and now I'm a rising freshman. Now, how cool is that? And also devastatingly petrifying, but we'll just take that out for the sake of this show. And in light of this, a huge thank you for listening to a podcast by a scrawny kid who probably stutters too much, but I cut it out because that's one of the perks of having a prepared thing to upload. It's the perks of having a podcast. So today is the 13th episode, and yes, it is far from being perfect or great in any shape or form. One per month, and seriously, time flies. I know this is cliche and oversaid, but once we start moving on with our lives and not look back, it's easy to lose track of time and how fast it's actually going. Once again, I always write episodes on how science can't explain everything, although I'm a very huge fan of science and I believe that it should be facts that we're basing things off of. Every minute, every time standard there is, it doesn't change unless we include technicalities. The concept of time is just incredible. It's intangible. It's one of those intangibles that we have to go with because there's no other way if we just don't accept it. Time is something that we absolutely must accept. It cannot be explained. The infinite loop of time and how we are able to count in minutes, seconds, days, months, years, decades, centuries, etc. There's something about it that's disconcerting yet beautiful at the same time. Now, this is sort of impromptu, but if you guys watch The Umbrella Academy on Netflix, you'll realize how time is an incredibly finicky thing. There is really not much to go on when the entire fate of the universe is in your hands, especially when you're 5 and a kid who is trapped, like a old man who is trapped inside of a teenager's body. Those kinds of things. Time is an intangible that once again we have to accept, and yet some of us don't because it's just really hard to know that we're going to age, that we're not going to be pretty sometimes, that after all, death is clearly on the way. We're quite mortal, and I think these are the moments where we have to reaffirm that you need to take life one step at a time, because we'll fall. And I think this is really reiterated once and once again, and it's really clear and conspicuous in the Umbrella Academy. It highlights and accentuates the fact and some of the paradoxes that can occur in time if we mess with time. And right now, I don't think there is a time machine to really help us quite understand that. It's all fiction, I'm assuming. But, maybe one day we'll think of a time machine. Maybe Elon Musk will think of something brilliant, and then another generation will take that as inspiration. But other than that, we really just have to base our entire thing off of a TV show. And I would prefer that be the Umbrella Academy because it's fun. Someone that I'm not going to disclose fully recently told me that time is money and that money is time. The more I write this episode, the more it seems like there's no other way to put it than that. The vice versa effect can apply here. We can have time with no money, but we can't have money with no time. It is that logic that I like to believe and want to preach so that I never forget my friend, time, that is walking alongside me. So, if you know me and you know this podcast, I did this episode a long time ago. I explained why quotes are so important and somehow they're insignificant and cliche at the same time, but a quote is coming. Thankfully, there are a lot of great quotes about time, probably because it's a romanticized and idealized topic. I think I'll use one positive and one negative one. Time can be interpreted in split connotations, especially good and bad. I think that is the one thing that can apply here. Time can either be good or can be bad. I guess it could be stuck in the middle like all things in a vacuum, but we'll just stick to good and bad for easier interpretations. So, the first quote: "The bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you're the pilot," by Michael Altshuler. Now, I find this quote to be quite comforting. It gives the rock hard truth, but puts a cherry on top, whether that be true or not. I guess he kind of did the sugarcoating for me, but it kind of does seem true. Time does fly, especially as you grow older, but that doesn't mean that you have to see it fly. Enjoy the moment, savor it, lick the ice cream, lick the popsicle, whatever. This is especially pertinent to those who are going through troubles, and because nobody is going to criticize me for it, I'll just add a note that life is way too short to hold grudges. Actually, that's not true. Hold as many grudges as you want, because in the end, regret is the only thing that follows. As a young child, I don't particularly think that regret is that big of a thing, although I can realize how it can be to some people, but I still haven't gotten to realize that. So maybe when I grow older, I will. Find your sweet spot. I guess that's the main message. Take risks insofar as it doesn't kill you or whatever your standard is, you know? With the new Mission Impossible movie coming out, I really don't know what the standard is anymore. I mean, this is a quote from another movie studio or something, but Tom Cruise really has outdone himself. But I guess that's what his life is about, and I admire him absolutely for it. So, studies have shown that people tend to become more risk averse as they grow up, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to have fun. Fun is a social construct built by whatever we find happy, whatever boosts our endorphins, whatever makes us smile. But I can have fun without being able to smile. I think that's kind of a crucial mistake that we have made. Second quote: "Time is a storm in which we are all lost," by William Carlos Williams. That's a very interesting name. Now, this quote doesn't necessarily have to be translated in defeatist denotation, right? It's a consensus. No one can escape time. In fact, I think time and death are the two things that we can never escape. But then again, Umbrella Academy, so many movies about time machines, etc., Interstellar even. I think it's possible in some ways. If we take it metaphorically, then it's definitely possible. Realistically, I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait a few more decades. So, for the lack of a better term, we are all in the same boat and are slowly sailing off the cliff. At least no one would be alive to remember our doom or ridicule us for it except for the future generations, if there even is one. But I doubt that they can say anything since they're also in the same boat. For example, climate change. Yeah, of course, we're perpetuating it and we're even making it worse, but I don't particularly think that the children can mock us with it. Because setting an example, it's just not effective. The potency is incredibly dissipated nowadays. Just another one with a different design and time frame. That boat, It's not the same one. Of course, climate change will be an incredibly different subject about 20 years from now, 30 years from now, even. And scientists expect it to get worse. So I guess that the boat will have to be in another design and time frame in order for it to actually be something worthy of us to stop. So, like many other things, time is just merely a social construct. Time itself exists. It's just that we have set standards for time. We count seconds, 6 minute speeches, 7 minute speeches. I don't know why I can only think of speeches as an example, but those are one of the very clear cut things in which we time and say time is over, next person. We dedicate time in a certain way that we build upon ourselves for us to understand quite clearly. I think that's the only way that we can ever be sane with the fact that we are going to die someday. And the only explanation is the fact that we're aging as time goes. I'm not really sure what other way scientists, historians, other analysts could have put it so that humans don't go rogue. But I don't think time needs a lot of sugarcoating. No sane man can possibly live the eternity and the time that follows. I don't know if it's because life is too burdensome, but I've always lived by this philosophy that life is better than no life. Now, you might call me shallow and that I'm too young and haven't gone through the struggles and pain that others have. And that's probably right. But I'm not going to deprive myself of the little happy moments and just the ability to think and be sentient for a trade off of not feeling pain or whatever death yields. I guess it's now that I completely understand heaven. Scratch that, I don't understand heaven. I don't think anyone has. Even the most faithful Christians are yet to understand heaven. And I think it's comforting. Time is something that I can't touch or perceive completely. Once again, it's an intangible. It's interesting and it will never be anything other than that. Time flies and time is sad. It ages the most beautiful, the most charming, and it debilitates the healthiest. But until then, time is money, smiles, laughs, and much more. Anyone who doesn't believe that, try and forcefully smile one day. I'm sure you'll think differently. And for those who keep thinking of the halcyon days of the past, look ahead. I'm sure you'll find the smallest thing a hook to go on. I give the sugarcoating of time a 3. This podcast was written and produced by me, Minnie Kim. If you have any comments or reviews, please feel free to write any and all thoughts on your podcast reviews. If you would like to suggest an affliction for me to sugarcoat, please email me via afflictionsugarcoated@gmail.com. Surprisingly, it's the name of the show and gmail.com. Also, check out my YouTube channel. It's the same but shortened version of everything. Guess what? It's also called Affliction Sugarcoated. To end the podcast, I want you to think of the time you were the happiest, whether that be an age, a month, a birthday party, whatever. Try to recreate it. Of course, it won't be nearly as good. There's a reason why the later Star Wars aren't earning as much as the original ones, but at least there's a hook for the fish. Okay, have a good one.